Yeah, yeah, yeah. We are all, I mean, there's no immunity to it. We're all gonna be heavily influenced by our environments and what we're consuming.
I think that's kind of, back to what we mentioned earlier about the more time that you're spending in this type of content, the more time you're spending reading your Bible, the more time you're spending in praise and worship around people that influence that, the more you're going to be filled with that. And you're going to find yourself speaking to each other in psalms and hymns, instead of, if you're on the internet in the comment sections arguing with people, next thing you know, you're interacting with people in real life in a less patient way than you may have otherwise, or just as one example. But it's easy to let those feelings get in your heart.
Yeah, yeah, the anonymity of internet is a dangerous thing, I suppose.
Shows you how evil people can actually be.
Boy, it does. That kind of a few months ago when Charlie Kirk was killed, there was a lot of conflicting opinions and everything. We've even talked about this, but I had a hard time watching some people that had a different opinion than I did. I really struggled with hoping the best for them. Or, there's a lot of people that got canceled or harassed, or, I know people that lost their jobs over certain opinions that they had over that stuff. And it was difficult for me to accept some other opinions. And I kept thinking, what am I supposed to do? Well, I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to pray for those people. I'm supposed to try to be an influence and really pray for those people. And I would go to pray for them, and I would have such a hard time doing it. It was very difficult for me to pray in a loving way for those people and not be like, oh God, you're going to get them, aren't you? You're going to send some wrath, aren't you? And that's not what he's doing. And so, like, for me, what changed some of that was I started my own little prayer journal, and I would write my prayer, and I would have to think of it as, how would Jesus be praying for these people? What would Jesus want me to say for these people? And I had to center it back to where it should have been, instead of just my own, hey, let's get them, this is our chance, and that was a big difference for me. When I started writing it out and thinking it through that perspective, the pen just started going, and I would look back and, like, man, that person that maybe didn't have the Christian's perspective stood on what they believed in, and they were very bold about it. That would be an awesome Christian. That would be somebody that would be great for the kingdom. And they're just not there yet, but they can be. And there's a part for me to play in that, I'm sure.
Man, I knew where you were going with that, because we did talk about that. I was hoping you were going to get there. I'm glad to hear that, man. You described it previously as taking yourself out of it, instead of praying about your opinion of them or the way they affect you or how it relates to your life or whatsoever, thinking of their relationship with Christ and how they could, like you said, be a part of the kingdom, and what they're seeing the positive in what their characteristics as a person are, and how that could be if they just had the right influence behind it and the right motivation behind it. And that spoke to me pretty powerfully when you were talking about it before. That was it taught me something, and that's something that's difficult for me. I'm a by nature, I'm a spiteful and vindictive person when it comes to, if somebody wrongs me, then I want to just do away with them. I don't want to, have another thought about them, much less a positive thought. And that's not the way to be. And it's a challenge for us to remember that.
Yeah, it is. It is. And the other challenging part of it that I've been thinking about is, a lot of these people have such terrible opinions of Christians, people of faith, and everything like that. And honestly, it's probably earned. There's probably some people that have created that. It's somebody's influenced that opinion on them, and a lot of
The
times,
self-righteous Christian.
yeah, yeah, and a lot of times it's important for us to be the opposite of that for them, and it doesn't have to be attacking or, I know we're supposed to try to help and correct behaviors and everything, but sometimes just being there and showing them, hey, look, I love you. We don't agree on nothing, but I love you. You're still somebody. I think that was a pretty difficult time for a lot of people. And certainly in different events where different political things or events that are happening around the world and everything, it's, uh, some people will use faith against you, or some people use their faith against others. And it's not really the Christ way of doing it.